Welcome to Create Grow Profit Coaching Stories. I am Morris from CreateGrowProfit.com, and today I'm speaking to Lorraine Chai. Lorraine was a introverted girl. She was stuttering. She got even scammed in her career, but today she is doing collaborative book launches. She was on national TV in the US twice last year, and she is a thriving coach. Lorraine, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I am looking forward. I'm actually really excited to be here, really.
Lorraine, where are you calling in from?
So, for those of you that don't know, I am currently in Sydney, Australia.
Oh, beautiful. How is it warm at this time for you?
No, it's winter. I'm wearing sleeveless because there's like a heater around, so I'm like really comfortable. But if not, like it's winter for us. Maybe not as cold as where your winter will be, but for us, it's cold enough.
Yeah, I'm always surprised how cold it can get in certain parts of Australia because in my mind, Australia is just, beautiful beaches and
Warm in the desert, right?
yeah, exactly. So, Lorraine, the first question on my show is always, how did you become a coach and when did you start calling yourself a coach officially for the first time?
So with me, I've actually always been a teacher. So my background is as a musician, as a teacher. And for me, I've always mentored people all the way back in my early 20s. So mentoring was something that I really love and enjoy because I for me it's generating the next generation of leaders, next generation of people that would change the future for the next generation and the generation to come. So coaching was an easy thing, but I never understood that concept of coaching until recently. So probably the last 5 years. I always thought coaches was for sports people, right? You've got football coach and gymnastic coach. So for me, I always thought coaches was just for sports. But what actually gave me a push is, as you said, I was scammed 6 figures of my life savings, and that got me thinking, like, how can I change this? That was actually like a shove from the universe telling me that I'm in the wrong path. And with that, the journey started to change for me. I started to study and understand myself. So it's always self development first before I helped people. And when I want to help people, I always level out my skills. So even as a teacher, I always want to level out my skills before I help my students become better, or become great, or become better than me in the future. So with coaching, it's the same thing. I looked for the best coaches. I studied with the best coaches. I outgrew a few. I studied from a few of them, and it changed from that to who I am today in terms of loving coaching, loving to help people.
You mentioned always leveling up yourself. Looking back, what would you say were some of your milestones where you feel like those were the jumps that you made?
What was my milestone? Well, I love to always share the story that I used to be an introvert, like an extreme introvert where you would not hear a word out of me. Like I was labeled as the mouse, right? But with through time with me, it was okay, how can I overcome that fear of being seen? Because I always love to be hidden. And as a musician, it was great because you're always stuck in the cockpit. You see the musicians in the hole, the cockpit. And for me, that was fine. Like I used to always get hidden there, creating beautiful music with all these lovely musicians. So it was overcoming that fear. And with me, it's finding myself or putting myself in uncomfortable situations, such as joining a modeling company, taking solo parts. People start to notice that, oh, she can sing, or oh, she's actually good on stage, she can act. So it's putting myself in this really uncomfortable situation of being seen. And through that journey is facing all my fears one step after the other. And like I was trained as a singer, but it's also how do I hate microphones, and it's learning, okay, how can I project in a way where people can hear me without me having to depend on a microphone. I know this is an interview and stuff, that's different, but how can I be able to connect with people, be it on stage, in person, where they can hear me properly? And I use my skills, as a singer. I use my skills as in the modeling agency, as a model to begin with, to someone that actually was a manager in a modeling company and a makeup company. So it's that journey of, okay, what can I do next to challenge myself? What else can I do to level up, to upskill my current skills?
Wow, okay, I understand now. Your leveling up is essentially pushing out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Have you done that already as a child, or when did you start doing that?
So the realization came when in my early 20s. Back in the day, I've always thought, okay, this is not really me because, growing up, we have our families, or some of us, or most of us have our families that control us, our parents. Don't do this, don't do that. You should be behaving this way. And school is the same thing. Uh, School trains the students to be sheep instead of leaders. So schools train students to be followers rather than leaders. And I never understood why I always felt out of place until, because I always questioned things. I always wanted to understand how things work. So it came to the realization with, okay, I need to find me. So I came into that journey in my early 20s of listening to myself, understanding myself, trying things, going to acting classes, even though I was so scared and shaking, taking extra lessons, going to a male singing teacher because I was fearful of so many things, um, doing the catwalk, doing volunteering work where you have people at the festival with the tagging of the hand, or just handing out brochures. I did everything that I could to socialize with people because back in the day, I hated talking to people too. Like I was so quiet that I didn't want to talk to people. So it's like, okay, how many people can I speak to in this event? So yeah, it was a journey. It's a journey that is always consistent with me in terms of growth. If I can't level up anymore, I think I'll be so bored.
I I'm really intrigued though. So first of all, I deeply resonate with some of the things you said, feeling out of place or being uncomfortable speaking to people. However, I didn't have, like, I wasn't stuttering. I didn't have any of the challenges that you had. And so I really admire your courage to just push yourself into these uncomfortable situations. How did you, like, where does this courage come from? Did you hear about it? Did you have support, external support, or was it just internal? One day you said, this is not me and I got to push.
So my mom's a musician and she is a perfectionist. So it's like you have to do things well. Like why can't you do it this way? Like musicians, most of us are perfectionists where it needs to be a perfect performance. Like even Lady Gaga, to us normal people, it looks fantastic and amazing, but they always know there's something to be better, something to improve in their performance. So from a musical background, that was what I grew up with. So I was always fearful of not doing well. What changed? Stepping on stage. The moment you step on stage, you cannot back down anymore. So it was telling myself, okay, it's now or never. And then the moment you step out, that's it. So it's the same thing. Like the moment you step into an event, this is it. This is what we'll have to do. Like there's no point backing down because then you're disappointing yourself. So it started with that philosophy of me being my own cheerleader in my head. Like just do it, Lorraine, just do it. Because no one else is going to do it. If you have someone that encourages you, then that's great. But I think the best motivation is more of self because you are the only person that allows yourself whether or not to do something or not. No one else can stop you from doing something. It's the decision has to be the person themselves.
Yeah, yeah, that is very powerful, Lorraine. Uh, so what is it that you do today with your clients?
Too many things. So I do a couple of things. I am an investor, so I'm currently purchasing business and turning them around if I can, scaling them, growing them. I do have collaboration and partnership with people. I also still have my teaching gigs because I do enjoy teaching. I enjoy seeing faces of kids lighting up. So I am still teaching a little bit here and there in terms of music. I do a few conducting work, not a lot anymore. I do turn a lot down because I do enjoy. I enjoy making a difference into these kids' lives when I can, as well as on top of as a coach. I'm also a business strategist coach as well as an author. So I'm an author, self-published author of 23 books in the education side, but currently my focus is mainly on the business strategist coaching where I help solopreneurs and restructure their business or have a solid foundation in the business and turning them into entrepreneurs, confident entrepreneurs in their industry.
Where do you see the difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur?
A lot of people don't know the difference. Solopreneur, if you look at the word solo, like for music performance, you say soloist, right? So solopreneur means one person doing everything, wearing all the hats. So that means if you're one person, you're paying your clients, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the designing, you're doing the cold calls, you're doing the paperwork. It's one person doing everything. An entrepreneur is somebody that has a team working under themselves, which means solopreneurs don't really have time to work on the business, right? Because they're always busy in the business. But entrepreneurs has the skill, or they should have the skill in terms of leveraging that time, and they have the time to scale their business, and they have that vision of expanding the business, and growing that business further. So I've got a lot of people that I know of. They're like, oh, I'm a sole trader. Sole traders are also classified as solopreneurs, but solopreneurs usually don't have that vision, that huge vision, and that could be of many different reasons. But that's the difference between solopreneur and entrepreneur. Solo means you're by yourself doing everything, and entrepreneur, you have people that works under you, be it contract workers or people that actually work in your office part-time, full-time, or as casual.
All right, you already answered both of my follow-up questions. Now I wanted to know, like, if you see a difference between solopreneur and a self-employed professional, but I think it's the same, according to your definition, it's the same thing. And the other question I had was, so if a solopreneur, for example, hires a VA or they hire a video editor, would you say that already transforms them into an entrepreneur?
You're on that journey.
Okay, you're like in the transition.
Yeah, so it's like you're on that journey of being an entrepreneur. So by getting one person in, that's only one step. For me, I've got a VA, I've got a social media team, I've got a marketing guy. It's growing, and what else? How else you can leverage that time? So it's having that team. And that's the thing. You start with one person at a time. Start with maybe a VA, or maybe if you want to leverage your time with posting content, you can get a social media person or social media team, but you have to start somewhere. If we could just employ everybody and then just run a company, but we have to start somewhere, and it starts by hiring one person first.
And your coaching clients, they are mostly solopreneurs.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I do have entrepreneurs out there, or business owners out there that already have a business, but they're interested in doing more because of my background as a performer, as a speaker. They want to do more in terms of that department. I don't do a lot of that unless people ask me to. And there's a person at the moment that has an accent. So with being a speaker, you have to be able to be understood by people. In your community, if you want to go global, that means you have to have that understandable accent, right? So I am originally from Malaysia, and we've got a Malaysian accent which is really strong and thick. So before I started my other business in terms of the education music side, I had that vision of having my product international. But in order for people to take me seriously, I had to be able to speak in a way that is understood, which means that I can't speak in the Malaysian slang or dialect unless I'm talking with my local Malaysian or Singaporean people out there. Then that slang automatically comes back. But it's changing the way that I speak, changing the way that I communicate with people, where it helps people understand. And I guess because of that journey of my transformation, it's helped me connect with a lot of people.
Now I'm curious to hear your Malaysian slang.
I can't turn it on. You might have to backtrack. Get a Malaysian on.
So when you work with solopreneurs as a business strategist, what are some of the common problems that you see that or mistakes that solopreneurs do that you can help them with?
I see a lot of solopreneurs with scatterbrain. I call them scatterbrain, or clouded mind. They have so many things that they want to do, but they don't know how to do it or when to do it. They don't know what to focus on. And it's more of, okay, let's organize things. It's like you go into a room and you see everything is in clutter. So that's what I see with a lot of solopreneurs. They're like, I got this idea and I've got this idea. There's a possibility of me doing this, a possibility of me doing that, but they don't know what to do, and they don't stick to what is important. So my job is to kind of clear that clutter first before we can focus on one component, whether or not it's leadership skills or confidence skills of how to communicate professionally with um, prospects or potential business partners out there. So, but the main thing that I see with a lot of solopreneurs is, or sole traders, or whatever you want to call yourself, is that the clutter in the mind.
The clutter in the mind. And that is reflected in their day-to-day work, I would assume.
I mean, it's great to have dreams and all these visions of yourselves, like possible visions of your future. Like I used to be that person as well. I was like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, you know. But it's what is off focus. Like you have to understand where you want to see yourself in 10 years. And with having a coach, you have that guidance with someone, to assist you in terms of what you should focus on, where your focus should be on first, how to work on time, and that's the second thing. Time management. A lot of people don't know how to work with time management. People have these excuses, oh, my kids are sick, or I'm so tired, or all these excuses that they can come off. But for me, it's how do you manage or work around those challenges that you have. Like let's say today, this morning, my car door didn't open and I was late for work. Like how do I work around it? Okay, my clicker didn't work, so maybe I can use the key to open up the door. Try different things. Or I had a third solution, or maybe I have to call somebody or catch a cab or something and pay extra to go to work. But it's how can you act very quickly as a leader, in terms of management. So that management skills, a lot of solopreneurs need to upskill that part of their themselves, of managing time, managing themselves.
Oh, interest. That makes sense, though. You help them learn to manage themselves, and that's what allows them to grow into an entrepreneur role where they'll have to manage not just themselves, but also others and the entire organization.
Yeah, because transformation starts from within. Like you have to understand yourself from within in order to project the energy that you have in within you. So a lot of people want to do a particular job, be it coaching, be it whatever industry they're in, but the change has to start from within. The more you change and the more you understand yourself from within, the more you can serve your clients better, the more that you can do your job better, the better decisions that you can make. Be it if you have challenges like a unhappy customer or a difficult customer, then you've got that skill of how do I manage or speak with difficult clients, or how do I manage in difficult situations.
hmm You mentioned the clutter, the mind clutter, and learning to focus. Do you have some tips for people listening? Solopreneurs listening to you right now. Do you have some common tips that they could try out?
Take a step back, like stop trying too hard. There was a moment in my life where I'm like, okay, I wanted to be a coach, and I'm like, this is not working. Now, once we start feeling that way, although we have a coach, like I had coaches that told me, oh, figure it out yourself. So, take a step back and go back to the drawing board, like see where you want to see yourself, get the right coach to kind of assist you. And I always say this, I've got clients that have 5 different coaches in their confidence, coaches in the gym. You've got coach in the gym, coaches in the business coach, life coach. There's so many different coaches. But if you don't want to go down that route of having your own coach, then I'll take a step back and listen to yourself, listen to your body, try and understand, or try and be receptive of the area around you, the people that you communicate with on a daily basis, because that can give you some spark of idea of what you actually want to do, or what could help you design that dream business or that dream life of yourself.
Okay, taking a step back and writing it down, I suppose. That's what I heard you say, like taking a step back and getting clear.
Yeah, so just write different ideas, and the thing is that idea can change or that idea can evolve. But the thing is, it's always good to come back to silence. What was that guy's name? The Captain America, Chris. What was his name? Chris. This is bad. Everybody loves him.
I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, when you say Chris, I think of Chris Hemsworth, but he's Thor, no?
I know straight away. Yeah. Okay, so Captain America, the actor. Sorry if I forgot your name. So Chris, he mentioned in one of his interview, like what the interviewer was saying, what would you tell yourself back in the day? What would you advise yourself? And he said he would tell himself to go shh, like just be quiet and just be observant of everything around you. Because sometimes the more noise that we get, the more pressure we feel, and the more our body starts to kind of break down. So sometimes it's always good to kind of go, okay, let me just find a quiet, relaxing place. Let me turn my phone off. Let me turn my phone on silent. I need me time. So when I have me time, my phone is always on silent. And if I have people calling me, I'm like, no, it's me time. You always have to have me time to focus on yourself to recuperate that energy. And what I used to do is I used to go to the beach just to hear the waves, the sound of the waves. And I used to go to, like, let's say the lake, just the water running and things like that. Oh, people love meditation, right? That's why people do meditation. So it's going back to silence so that you can be more receptive with things around you.
And would you make that a daily practice? Like 15 minutes of silence, 30 minutes of silence per day? Do you have a recommendation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's why people do exercise. And I do exercise because when I run, my mind starts to flow more because my blood is, my adrenaline was going. So for me, exercising helps in terms of meditation because I'm always on the go. Like my brain can be very noisy when it wants to, but sometimes I know for myself that I need to also be in quiet peace as well. So I sit down, maybe just sit down mindlessly, as they say, right? And just kind of go, okay, now this is just me time. And then I like to visualize the future that I want to see myself in and bring it into the current state. It's like, okay, this is who I want to be in, let's say, 5 years, 10 years. And just visualize that moment of attracting that. So, we think about the future that we see ourselves in, and we act in that way to attract that to come into to to come into place sooner rather than later. So I always have that view in mind, which means that I don't stop. I always keep going with that.
It's interesting you brought up running. I need I love running too, to reset my mind. I like to run. Like I work my first half of the day, then I go for a run and then do the second half, and it helps me reset. But I need to run really hard to quiet my mind. If I just go jogging, my mind is so like moving fast. I need to push so I can it forces me to focus on my breath. But yeah, running is great.
Yes, absolutely. And for me, like, so I wake up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That means I have no distractions of cars going by and stuff like that. And it's just listening to quiet peace, and it's focusing on my breath, and the air. Like the air will be cleaner as well because nobody is around. So that's why I like to start early. People think I'm crazy, but I like that peace. I like that peace where it's just me, and I just can focus about me instead of being distracted with the cars or the birds and stuff around me.
Or the huge Australian spiders that we all hear about on the internet.
Oh, I run through a lot of webs because I'm the first to wake up in the morning. So that doesn't work. So I don't run on the side path anymore. I run on the road.
Oh, oh gosh.
So I'm like, there's no cars, I can run on the road. Because if I run on the sidewalk, because I'm like one of the first to wake up in the morning, I do run through a lot of spider webs in the morning.
Oh gosh.
So I've learned.
I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, there you go. You talk about spiders. So yes, I run through a lot of webs. Yes. Oh, Captain America is Chris Evans.
That's right. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, yeah. Definitely heard his name before.
I need to get that corrected.
But he's not Australian, is he?
No, no, no. He's not Australian. He's American. He's from Boston.
Okay. So you don't have to feel bad.
But he's famous. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, I guess that's right. That's true. Yeah. So we talked about you work with solopreneurs, and the first step is decluttering the mind. Great advice with the silence. Oh yeah, when you describe it like that, taking a moment of silence each day, it sounds so easy. It sounds overly simplified, but how many people actually do it? I think that is really the difference here. it's so easy to assume that it's too simple that you don't do it. Like you underestimate the power of it.
But just to clarify, moment of silence doesn't mean taking out your phone and going on social media. That's not a moment of silence. Moment of silence is being present in your area with just you and your space. So it's not being distracted where your mind is on your phone swiping and scrolling on social media. So people think, oh, I have my quiet time. I'm on my phone when on social media. It's like that's not really quiet time. Quiet time is the focus on yourself. It's listening to yourself, listening to your body, and that's why people say that yoga is the best. Like I can't do yoga, so like you love to run. I need to run. I can't do the meditation. Some people do the Chinese qigong or whatever thing that they do. So everyone's different, find something that helps. I used to, as a musician, I used to just play music and just be in the moment, let music just take over. So if you love playing music, then by all means, spend maybe 10 minutes just playing a music or something. Just focus on you, just to kind of let everything go. And you never know, you may come up with ideas. So a lot of these things that I do, like running or playing music, sometimes I go, oh my gosh, maybe I should have done it this way, or let's do it this. I have this idea of this project. So I start having all these ideas that come into mind, because it just makes you more relaxed and clear of what you truly need to do.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Which instrument or instruments do you play?
Oh, too many. I'm a one woman band. um So, as they say, my major is actually piano, but I do a lot of different instruments as well. Back in the day, I don't play it as much, only when I have to. So, don't ask me to perform on stage because I don't do that anymore. I can speak on stage, but I don't. It's a decision where I've made where I don't perform music anymore. But yeah, I if you want, I've touched in as a piano player. That's my main instrument. I have a diploma in classical singing, so I used to do singing as well, performance. Strings, I do strings as well as woodwind. So I touch almost every part of the orchestral instruments.
Wow, amazing. Circling back to your coaching, when you started as a coach, how did you find your first batch of clients? What did you do to get the practice off the ground?
So when I mentioned just now of mentoring, I was already mentoring, which means that I was already doing a lot of motivational speaking with people in Asia and people in Australia. It was just something that I really enjoyed. So people already knew my growth. I started with sharing the message first. So if you want to be a coach, people need to know who you are. So it's sharing the message of what I've learned from other coaches. And when I look at what with people is, I would rather have a coach that has a coach, because they are also leveling up. And I always encourage coaches, do you actually have a coach? Because you can't actually coach and help your clients properly if you don't have a coach. Let's say your client needs help. Where, how are you just gonna make it up just to seem professional? Or maybe you can go, okay, let me just think about it, and then consult with your coach, someone that is in a higher level than you are. So with me, it started with that, just educating people with that concept of change, because I never knew that this could have been a reality. I never knew that the grass, we all knew the grass is greener on the other side, but I never knew there was a possibility of crossing that path into the field of green, as they say. So so that's the thing, like, start by educating people first, constantly growing. So constantly be in events, pay for it if you must. Find coaches. If one coach doesn't work, move on to the next person. It's okay to outgrow a coach. It's okay if somebody doesn't work, because then there's always somebody else.
Yeah, that is very encouraging. And it reminds me of something in sports where I read a lot that the best athletes in sports are highly coachable. And sure, there's like talents and DNA and things like that, but apparently, um, the best athletes are highly coachable, and other athletes who would have massive potential, they don't reach it because they're not open to coaching.
Yeah, but if you also notice about the world of sports is each athlete has multiple coaches. because you've got coaches that see things from a different point. So that's a good thing. Like it's okay to have multiple coaches, because then you have multiple coaches seeing it from their point of view.
So for people, especially solopreneurs listening to us here, they're ready to work with you. They're ready to have you as their coach. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on social media. I can send you the link.
Yeah, I'll put all the links below.
Yeah, so the link will give you access to my Instagram, so that you know what I'm all about and what I do. So you can go through my Instagram, you can go through my Facebook account, and you can always book a free session to see if there's a possibility of working with me. Or maybe after the first meetup, you think, oh, okay, she's not my kind of person. Then by all means, that's where the free session is, to see if you're coachable. So I also have to see if you're coachable, because that's what you spoke about just now. It's like not everybody is coachable. People have to come to that realization that they are experts in the field, and they have to be open to listen. And that's a problem with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people find it difficult to listen because they want to prove that they are good already. But if you're not great yet, that's why you're there, to seek help. So always be open to help. Always be open to receive information. Always be open to see other people's point of view, because although you may feel uncomfortable, maybe their ways work. You just have to try. Like, what do you have to lose? You have to try. So be open to people out there.
Wonderful closing statement, Lorraine. Thank you so much. So, for people listening, if you're a solopreneur and you are struggling, or things you're doing aren't working, or you just want to grow your business, then book a free session with Lorraine Chai. I'll put the links below the episode. Lorraine, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Anytime.